peace and love. Maha Kālikā here, aka Dezi Speaks, and today I decided to come with a more structured form of video and talk a little bit about. Well, this will be a series. Let's say that series is going to be called "What Not to Do When You Get Out of Jail." Okay, so I'm going to hit on some pretty important points that I think that are worth anyone, even if you're not recently released from jail, to consider. One would be to rehydrate yourself. I recently read something that said that most people aren't actually old; they're actually just really dehydrated, and that's something that I struggle with myself, is making sure that I consume enough water, fresh water throughout the day. But some of the perils of dehydration would be you're thirsty. When you realize that you're thirsty is when you're actually already showing extreme signs of dehydration. So if your pee is anything other than clear, you are actually dehydrated. You may feel sluggish, you may feel lightheaded, fatigued. Sometimes dizziness and nausea can all be symptoms of dehydration. So many sicknesses that we are treating with medicines and things like that are really just manifestations of dehydration, just symptoms of dehydration that we're taking medicine and paying money for something that we can just heal with water. Another thing, when you get out of jail, you have a lot of toxins still in your system from the foods that are sent there for institutional use only, and a lot of the chemicals that are intentionally added to the water to stabilize the prison population. One of those being fluoride, that a lot of us know about. So types of water to consume, I would suggest, if you could find alkaline water, that would be good to bring your body into a more alkaline state that prevents cancer, and it prevents disease. When our body is too acidic. So drinking alkaline water can help to balance the pH of our bodies. Reverse osmosis water is where water is purified through a process called reverse osmosis. The only issue with that is, I've been told that, and I've read that, when you do that, the minerals are also stripped from the water. So what we have to do is make sure that we consume minerals other ways, but you can also add trace minerals into your water, or even colloidal silver, or add lime juice, squeeze some lime in there. Make sure you don't put the seeds in there because it might taste a little weird later. Rainwater, one thing our family started doing too is harvesting our own rainwater. And you could do that in the city. Maybe another time I'll post a video about how we built our own rainwater catchment system out of 5-gallon drums. But you could look on Pinterest and find many ways of doing home water catchment systems, just standalone systems, if you don't want to use your gutters from your roof. Coconut water is also another thing. I know if you're in the States and not somewhere like we're blessed to be here in the tropics, but somewhere that coconuts aren't just found in abundance, you might have to buy it from the store, and it might be a little bit more expensive, or even when you find a real coconut, it's really expensive. But for us down here, we get a big gallon of coconut water from the market on Saturdays, or even some other times, but that's only $10 US, $10 Belize, which is actually only $5 US for a whole gallon of coconut water. So that's something that we use, and I was also using it with the baby when it was some times when I was away and I couldn't do breastfeeding because I direct breastfed Freedom. All right, so another thing is, you can't find all that. Okay, you can still use your Brita filters and stuff like that. I'm not necessarily saying bottled water, because bottled water is actually not good for the earth. And when at least when I talk about right living a right lifestyle, I don't want to do things intentionally that can be avoided, that are actually harming the earth. And I find that I reap in abundance, and I manifest the things that I want because I'm living according to universal laws, and karma is one of those laws. But I'm gonna show y'all next time. I left it in the cabin, but I have a nice giant metal water bottle, mason jars. Those kind of things are really good to use when you're taking your water on the go with you. All right, the second part of this video, don't turn to electronics. And it sounds crazy, it sounds cliche, but some things I want to share, and I'm applying them to my life as well. And it's one thing that when I got out in 2012, I found myself almost for 5 months straight laying on my mom's couch, on Twitter. I'm about to say Twittering. I'm so detached now, but I was on Twitter for the longest. I'll be on there for hours and hours and hours, like, and not even realizing that I'm falling deeper in the funk. Like, I'll have friends contact me, like, what's wrong with you? Why are you saying that? Or why are you doing it? Why are you always on there from morning until night? That I didn't realize that I was coping. Like, it was my coping mechanism, the electronics. So to get to my bullet points, because like I said, I'm trying to stay structured. One would be is that electronics, they distract from our productivity. So it allows us to just be constantly consuming something and constantly consuming music and other kind of eye and mind junk that other people are producing for us, and it takes away from our time that we can be actually producing our own things. So producing our own videos, or making art, or drawing, or making music, and doing all the things that we look at everybody else on the internet for doing. And sometimes we hate on them. Like, we find ourselves hating on what somebody else is doing. Kanye had an interview, and he was saying something like, if somebody is creating something, if somebody is an artist, there's nothing that you have a right to say to them but thank you. They're creating something from their heart, from their being, and they're sharing with you, and hopefully they get compensated or not. But if you're not going to compensate them, just walk away. But the most you can actually say to them is thank you, if you're not even also creating yourself. So a lot of times, instead of being producers, we find ourselves being critics. And we're spending most of our time just critiquing people that are actually creating. It's like, if you're not creating, how dare you say a single bad thing about a creator? You're just a hater. And I know that's hard to ingest, but just no one's watching. You could just process that on your own. I love you anyway. I've been there. Devices, they divide us from our family, okay? So they literally divide us from our family. Sometimes, you might have a baby that's crying, like, Mommy, get off the phone. I want to watch this show with me. Or your son's like, I want to, and I'm talking about my life. I want to watch a movie together, or I want to do this together, or let's go ride bikes. And you're like, I'm on my phone, or I got to answer these emails, or I got to do this. But we're not thinking like these things are dividing us from our actual family. Like, they're keeping us from what matters most. Even what you watching this video right now, I don't want to be hypocritical and say, oh yeah, watch me, but get off your devices. Even this video is just an example. At least I'm hoping that you're here because you're looking for ways to improve yourself, as I do, or as I am constantly on this journey. Get what you need from the internet, get what you need from the devices, and get off. We've just established this thing where, like, we're just trying to make sure that we're using the internet and using the devices for work and things that are productive. If not, we need to wait until we get to the level of success that we're looking for, and then return to using the devices for leisure. It's just like holding yourself accountable, and shout out to Kwatsa, having a responsibility consciousness for our own lives. All right, and there's also some things, and you can do your own research on this, because it's called electronic screen syndrome. Children and young adults are becoming, or already have become, totally controlled by the availability of their electronic devices. And I just feel like that's just an example of how we're more connected to Wi-Fi and to our devices than we are to ourselves. Like, we're more connected to Wi-Fi. We're always looking for Wi-Fi. Where's the hotspot? Where's the hotspot? Where's the hotspot? What about your hotspot? No pun intended, but like, what about you? Like, are we connected to ourselves in the same way that we are? Are we connected to our families in the same way that we are to our, our Amazon account, to our Facebook account? We have all these things syncing to each other. Meanwhile, we're becoming more and more torn apart. Literally, like, you go to a party and everybody's on their phone. When did parties become situations where everybody's on their phones? When did you go, you go on the motor transportation, you go on the subway, and everybody's on their phones. No one's meeting each other. No one, we actually moving away from each other, but we just so thirsty for likes. We're so thirsty. We'll do anything for some likes. All right. Our devices have become our best friends, our very best friends. I was recently talking to my son about, like, how, and I apologize for my poor grammar. I'm not really here to help you all with your grammar. I'm here to talk about successful reintegration with society, as well as expanding our awareness of the world around us. I'm not here to be your English teacher. Maybe I can do that, maybe I can't, but that's not my passion. My passion is to make sure that I'm doing my best so that everyone can have a good life. And that's what I'm here for. And that's what I'm going to do. All right, but we've allowed ourselves to get in a situation where my generation and the generations that are coming after us have formed such solid attachment to electronic devices that they are very best friends. We could be in a bed with our partner and we're both on cell phone devices. Our children are on cell phone devices. They're on tablets. They're on computers. Everyone, we may be in a room together, but no one is unified. Where's the conversations that are being had? When's the last time you talked to your wife? When's the last time you talked to your husband? When's the last time you've had a serious conversation about how your child did in school? Are they being bullied? Are they being bullied right now on the internet? We have no idea. We're so separated. Our vices have stolen our loyalty from each other and ourselves. So there you are. Those are two things this episode that you should not do when you get out of jail. Don't stay thirsty. So rehydrate yourself, and don't turn to electronics. Turn to your family, turn to your friends, the ones that really love you. Hopefully not the ones that helped you get in jail, but if that's all you got, then at least turn to something that has some feelings. All right, I love you. Peace.
So we're gonna learn these drums today. Yes. There are 3, sometimes 4 tones that we have to learn with the drums.